Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
This is ANITA FINLEY. We're continuing with our great radio interviews. I know people love them. They have asked me during the coronavirus, are we going to continue? And I said, of course. We're just doing it a little differently. We're not down at the studio anymore. What we're doing is we're doing it at each other's homes, our own homes, and then we're just calling the radio station. That's how it's working. So we have one of our favorite guests of all, Mark Morowitz, who is a financial planner. He's a CPA, and he just really, I love his articles, and I'm sure many of you read them. They're so down to earth. I was just saying that to you, Mark, that as a professional, a lot of people don't let their hair down, but you do.
I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I wish more people would. And I'm honored to be with you today. Thank you.
And you're feeling well, I'm sure. And are there any people in your life that have gotten the coronavirus?
I do. I know of a couple of people, not real close people, but actually, I don't know anybody close to me that's gotten it. I haven't seen anybody in 3 months, so I guess everybody else is doing the same thing.
Right. Isn't that true? We have our masks. We have everything. Someone said, how come I don't have a mask for my dog? I said, well, he doesn't need it yet. But it's funny. It's the loneliness, I think. You know, even though I'm very good at working, I have a lot to do, and I'm sure you do, it is different that we're so solitary, isn't it?
There are times when I basically sit here and have a lot of time to think, and that's when I'm most dangerous, is when I have time to think. So, it does get a little lonely at times, and, but you can always pick up a phone and text your friends, and thank God I'm blessed with some wonderful friends, and, friends that I see once a year because they don't live locally, and we'll see each other once per year, and I know at 10 o'clock at night when I get a text from my friend saying, how you doing? I know that he's probably got a little loneliness going on too. So,
right.
It's a terrific feeling to know that you have people that are watching out for you.
Have you ever been through anything like this? I mean, I know you weren't around with the, I guess you were with Ebola. You've been around with hurricanes when you were with the Spanish fly, but Spanish flu, sorry.
Flu.
That's bad. That's
a little bit
good
different,
one.
Right? A little different.
Right.
I don't remember. I remember Ebola before it actually, decided to do anything in the United States. It was people were panicking. How this was like this was like it killed you within like 3 days, and everybody was just worried. To say it was like the flesh-eating bacteria. I used to go to sleep with nightmares, but they turned out to be duds because we stopped them before they got here. We had a plan for eliminating it. So I don't recall. The only thing that I recall that's really put me on very weak footing emotionally was 9/11. That's the only thing that I recall in my life that really had a long-lasting lifetime effect on me.
Were you living in New York at the time?
I was not. I was living in South Jersey, but I went up to New York for early in the morning to do some work, working with a friend of mine, and at 7 o'clock in the morning that day, I passed by the towers, and it was such a beautiful, crisp fall day. And when I went home, then I got locked in. And when I went home the following day, they were gone. And I remember driving in my car. I had about a 2-hour ride home, and I just remembered the tears started streaming down my eyes because I really hadn't seen anything. I was kind of locked in an office and didn't really know what was going on.
I see.
That had a profound effect on me. In fact, it took me about 10 years to go back to New York. I just couldn't bring myself to go. Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to go back.
And you have been to the monument now, haven't you? Been to the memorial?
I never was. I've never been there. No.
Oh, it's quite impressive. And I have to say that the thing that I think knowing you as much as I do, is that everybody's name, along as you walk around this big square, you put your hands on everybody's name. It's pretty beautiful. Yeah, it's worth going. It's worth going and seeing that sometime when you're ready.
Well, when the planes start to fly and I can leave Florida again, maybe I'll give it a shot. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. So in the meantime, now this must have affected you terribly because this was at tax time too. Have you been able to manage all this?
It was the best time of year for this to happen. Sorry that it had to happen, but I've been, I consider myself very fortunate that this is my busy time of year. I've had all but about 40 of my clients sent me their stuff, either emailed it to me, put it in snail mail, or whatever they did, took pictures of it, texted me on the phone, and I've been able to get most of my work done. So I'm very fortunate, and it kept me busy through this whole period of time. And what it basically did for my clients was it showed them that they don't need to sit with me. This is the new normal. Just like they're doing, telemedicine now, people don't need to sit in front of their accountant to do their taxes anymore. And I think people have finally gotten used to that. So it's a nice thing to see me, and I love to see all my clients, but I don't really have time for social visits at this time of year, because it's just a busy time of year. So everything is okay with that, and I'm very fortunate that I actually am gainfully employed. Unlike a lot of other people this time of year.
Right. But the government did allow, wasn't it a July deadline now, so if people couldn't get it done?
July 15th is the deadline. It was a good thing. I needed it. I appreciated it. And, then the government started giving out these PPP loans for businesses the Paycheck Protection Program loans.
You're right, and I put it in. I haven't gotten it yet, and I went with Cabbage, I guess what that company is, or what it was, and I didn't get it. And a friend got hers, so they said go to your bank. And I don't know if I can do it twice, but I do need that.
Well, I know that there's a long queue line, and I've had clients that have gotten them for the last month. But I just had last weekend a few clients that got theirs were notified last weekend. So it happens pretty quick. Everybody's just waiting in line. And I heard from somebody at the bank that I got mine approved yesterday, but it's going to be 4 or 5 days before I get the paperwork to sign. So
so you did it through your bank. You did it through your bank.
I did it through my bank. It was a total disaster, but I did it through my bank, and I was able to find somebody in the bank someplace who was able to help me. And I screamed loud enough and got the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So that was me. Yeah,
I didn't go to the bank because first of all I didn't want to go there, and talking to them on the phone. Phones have just been too busy. So this other company in California, they jumped in very fast early on, and I keep trying to. I get back in touch with them, and they just, they say, well, you have everything, but we don't have any other information. So we don't have to talk about that now, but I just mentioned it. So
that program kept me busy. I went for about a week, almost 10 days, basically just advising my clients on that. So I didn't even have a chance to do tax returns for a week. So that's why the extension was good for me.
Yeah, I understand. Well, let's just go through something that you had in your article. Let's get into some of the meat of who you are and what you do. And you said, let it go. And I do understand that. And I think that the good part about this for me now is that there are a lot of people that have gotten on Zoom and they have family reunions, which they haven't had, that just don't do that unless they're all together. So don't you see that this part of the coronavirus has had its positive aspects?
I think it's a fantastic thing. As long as everybody learns how to use it properly. I'm waiting to do that with my kids. My kids are all in California, so by the time they get home from work, I'm asleep. So it's really difficult to connect with people from that far from the other coast. But I do see the positives in it. And again, that's the new what people are going to have to get used to. Is there really that? I know that we're all used to the hand touching and physical contact, but if this is as good as we can get right now, I think everybody should just accept it and move forward. So that's a good thing.
Right. Yeah. And yet, tell me, you live in a condo?
I am.
So do you have to wear a mask?
I don't. There's very rarely anybody outside. I live in a villa, so it's not a building. So I just walk out of my front door, and everyone's we social distance. I wear a mask when I go to the bank or when I go to the market or to the post office or any place else where I'm going to be that I know there may be more people than just my next door neighbor. So I do wear a mask. Unlike our president, I do wear a mask. I have taken this direction.
Well, let me just tell you that our condo, that was the first thing that went up. They have signs everywhere. Everyone in living this condo must wear a mask, and they cannot have outside people come in. It's been like that.
Yep. I actually have a client that lives in a high rise and on the beach, and he said he waits. He knows when people's patterns are, and he waits until he knows there's going to be nobody in the elevator. People are definitely afraid when you get over 60. Yes. I go or 65, whatever that magic number is.
Right.
People are very afraid of this thing, and they're not going to get any help from the younger generation because they don't have any idea what the sacrifices were made for them more, and nor do they care. Nor do they care. So that's why we have to be very vigilant about how we treat ourselves. And listen, if some scientist says to me, "You really should stay away from other people for a while," who am I to argue? Hopefully they take my advice when it comes to finance, right? Right.
No, I agree. And it's not a big deal to do that if you, because I see now people outside in the park, but they have their own little lawn chair and they're sitting away from someone else, but they're together. The only thing that I've noticed is I live alone, which I have never done before when my husband passed away, but living alone is different too, because I guess, have you lived alone for a long time?
I've lived alone for probably the last 10 years.
Okay. So for you, so it's, you're used to it, but when there's a serious epidemic or something serious and you're alone, it's different. Even if you talk to someone on the phone, it's still not the same.
It's not, and it's again, if I didn't have work to do, I think I would have gone stir crazy at this point. There's nobody to talk to. But one thing I will say this: I don't watch a lot of television, but I have been catching up on a couple of good Netflix shows. So that's one thing that I've allowed myself to do.
Yeah, that's true. And you don't have a dog, so you don't have. I at least have a dog that keeps me company. But I walk him 3 times a day, and he doesn't have to wear a mask. He's okay so far, right? But this, really getting down to be serious about this, I do think, even though everyone says, well, there's so many positive aspects, and there are things that are going to change, which I like. There are certain things about globally. I think we're going to be more aware of every country, no matter where it is. I think we should all now join together. I mean, there's this whole thing, this Lincoln Project. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's interesting. But that's what I think the best thing is, that all of a sudden now, it isn't just the United States that has this. It's everywhere. And that maybe there's something that we can learn from this, and to care for one another no matter what language we speak.
That would be a wonderful thing. The world, bring the world together. Remember a number of years ago, Coca-Cola tried to do that with their commercials? Remember the wonder they had. Coca-Cola had commercials. If I could, they had a whole bunch of people from all over the world standing together in a chorus singing. I'd love to teach the world to sing.
Yes, I do remember that song. Yes.
Yes. So they tried to do that a number of years ago, and
Yeah.
it probably fell apart right around 9/11. And then the people in this country started coming together again. Okay, and that fell apart in 2016. When everything just seemed to change on us. Okay.
Yes.
In fact, I was thinking about that this morning. How as bad as some people may think it is in this country, where we've come to, if you think about it, up until a couple of years ago, it was really, really bad and very horrible to be gay or LGBTQ,
Right.
to be African American, Mexican, But now nobody cares about that anymore. Everybody accepts the blacks and everybody else. But now it's horrible to be a Democrat. This is a horrible time. Everybody cares more about hating Democrats today than anybody else. Okay? Isn't that sad? But you know what? But it took our minds off everything else. No.
Right.
Not everybody,
Yeah. Well.
of course.
No, but I mean, there always has to be somebody who, who's on the edge. But that's okay. I mean, a lot of the Democrats hate a lot of the other things too. So it's the partisanship, which has just been kind of horrible. But
tore this country apart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, but at least if you have your family and they're talking to you, because I remember when I first met you, you were having some problems with your son. I guess he was living here with you, and it wasn't working out so well. But now he lives in California, right?
Yeah. There's always issues with family. I love my kids. I'm sure they love me. And,
right.
But everybody goes through their own thing in life. And
true.
When you try to help somebody and they don't want your help, or they don't know how to accept your help, relationships get kind of strained. And depending on who they are, some people are wonderful. They can just kind of, dismiss their feelings and move happily towards the next thing. And some people can't. So, but there are family situations, and I think that's probably where you were going with, or where I went with that article that I wrote that time.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. In fact, my husband was an only child, and when people would say to him sometimes, "Oh, it's too bad," he said, "No, it's not. There's not a family I know where they don't have problems with siblings." So, that's what he said. And so maybe that was true.
Yeah, everybody, it's got its good and its bad. And the fun part is figuring out how to make your relationships better. Unfortunately, some people don't want to make bad relationships or ungood relationships better. So there are times when you got to learn to let it go, and just do the right thing. I believe in the golden rule,
I do
doing
too,
to
Mark.
others as they would do unto you.
Absolutely.
And I believe that if I do the best I can do and be cognizant of other people's feelings throughout the day, I go to sleep very quickly, and I sleep pretty well. So that's the way I choose to live my life, and I don't get upset when other people don't. I wish they would, but not everybody.
Yeah.
If everybody was as good as me, the world would be a wonderful place.
Right. Well, let me give everyone your phone number. This is Mark Morowitz, and Mark is a CPA, but he's a philosopher. He's quite a very, very elegant, nice man. And let me give you his number. And don't worry, it's still his number from up in New Jersey, but he's here down in South Florida. It's 609-338-3603. Again, that's 609-338-3603. You can have a free consultation. You can just talk to him. You can get on his website, which is morowitzcpa.com, MOROWITZ CPA.com. And he does write an article every month. It's always usually a very philosophical, important. Well, it's not always philosophical. A lot of it is very factual about things that you have. And now thinking about what we've been talking about, I'm sure that certain financial decisions are going to change after this. And I think that Mark is the perfect person to talk to so that you don't make mistakes, don't rush off doing things that, you don't have some smart people to help you. Right, Mark? Is that going to happen, you think?
It's very interesting when people have told me that they lost value in their investments, and now as people get older, they're concerned about having enough money to live out the rest of their lives, and that's become a major consideration. But what's even more important is that there's a lot of people who are willing to stand by your side for as long as you live, as long as you have something that they want. Okay? And once you start to not have what they want anymore, they're going to disappear, unless they're me, okay, or like me. There's very few people. Like if I'm talking about maybe investment advisors, when people make money based on how much money you have invested. When your investment starts to go down in value, they make less money. They don't have time for you anymore. So it's going to become a rude awakening for a lot of people. Okay. And I don't make investment decisions for people. I'm not licensed to do that, but, I do advise them on whether or not it's good. It's a good time to buy, sell, whatever, or what my feelings might happen 3 years from now based on my knowledge of economics. But other than that, I think people are going to start to get a little bit lonely because they're going to find that people that that were by their side, really have no reason to be there anymore for financial purposes because a lot of people lost money in the last few months.
That's very sad to hear that. I think that is. Talk about the golden rule. That's just against the golden rule. I mean, here you've made money on somebody, and now they need your help. For heaven's sakes, that's not right.
That's what have you done for me lately? That's the way they look at it. So it's unfortunate. I do want to mention I did get a phone call from somebody who saw my article in the Boomer Times. I think it was last month. And she called me, and we had a very nice conversation. She kept me on the phone for over an hour, okay, which is a long time. And she asked me for advice, and I gave her my advice. And and after a while, I felt like I was talking to my mother.
Oh.
And I gave her my advice, and of course, just like my mother, she didn't take my advice. She didn't want to hear what I had to say. I said, look. If you want me to tell you what you want to hear, forget it. I'm not going to do it. This is. I hope all these people hear me. This is who I am. I said, if you want me to tell you what you want what you should know, I'm your guy. If you want me to tell you what you want to hear, I'm not your guy. So I told her, I gave her some advice, and unfortunately, we can't meet yet because of what's going on. So we will meet eventually. And then she called me back again a couple of days later to try to see if I had changed my mind. And I said, I haven't changed my mind. I'm still giving you the same advice. And she said, I love you. I love you. And I said, I love you too. Isn't that great?
Where does she live in Boca?
She lives. Where does she live? She lives in she lives north of Delray. So not too bad though.
Yeah,
not too
probably Boynton Beach or something. But anyway, that's why I tell people, these articles are very important because people don't know who to trust. They don't want to air their concerns or problems to just anybody. But when they see you in there, they hear you. Has she ever heard you on the radio?
I don't know if she heard me on the radio. I think she might have read the article. And
right, but you have to tell her to make sure that she listens from now on.
I will. The next time I speak to her, I think she saw the article and she saw my picture and she said, "Oh,
right.
What a nice looking guy." Right?
Oh, I see. So there was more going on here. You never know.
You never know, right?
Well,
right.
You're a single guy. You never know what, listen. So, okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. But getting back to what we've been talking about. So now we have about 5 minutes left, and I just want to go over this whole thing with the coronavirus. I just want everyone to be very careful, even though they're getting rid of the task force, and they're going to try to get the economy back. But, you just, especially if you're an older adult, you don't want to take any chances. It's not going to hurt you to, if you're going out and you can stay your distance. I'm not going to theaters. I'll tell you that much. For me, and I've always gone to theaters. I love them, but I'm not doing that. I'm not doing anything where it's going to be a crowd. I'm just not for quite a while.
I'm with you on that. Not at all. Not at all. Stay away. I had been telling people from the beginning, I said, when they say it's okay to go out and do things, I'm going to give it at least another 2 weeks after that. Because, I just don't, maybe it's just my experience, my age. I just don't trust people that are telling me this stuff. They have ulterior motives. And we need a balance. We need to balance the economy with this with the health of our citizens. However, if we go straight to economy, what's going to happen is we're going to have spikes all over the place, and the economy is going to get shut down again. And once you shut it down again, then you've added more time to the shutdown, and it actually exacerbates the problem. So, but you have to understand this is an election year. And the only thing that the President of the United States had to hold it to hang his hat on was the fact that the economy was good. And he does, at any cost, he's going to want to go out there and tell everybody how good the economy is. But you know what? Frankly, he's not looking out for me. None of those people are looking out for me or you. They're in it for themselves. That's just my feelings. And, I'm not going to jump out and start spending my money, period.
No, and I do think that people, when you go out, you can still distance. You still don't have to go the way it used to be. And there's our music to be able to say goodbye. But it's always, I love talking with you because I can be so natural and I don't have to put on any airs because you're who you are. And Mark, thank you so much. Let me give your phone number again to everybody. You'll really enjoy talking with him. It's 609-338-3603, and that's Mark Morowitz. If you need a CPA, you need someone in finance, or you want someone to talk to, just call him. Thanks, Mark. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, everybody, stay safe.
Same to you. Yeah, stay safe. All right, bye.